And we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Homemaking with Purpose. And I have to say, tonight we are talking about something that is very important, and it is quietly wearing down so many homemakers today. And it's the invisible load. It's that never ending mental list that is running through your head, the appointments, the errands, everything that keeps the home running. So, we're going to get in that tonight. So, whether you're a full time homemaker, working outside the home, or doing it all on your own, that invisible workload is real. And tonight we want to talk about what it looks like and how to start settling it down.
Mm.
So, before we get into that, with me is my sister from another Miss Leona from Ebony, Ivy, and Time.
Hello, hello. I'm so glad to be here tonight. And what a topic, Miss
Yeah.
Denise. Oh my goodness, this is real stuff. You
And
know,
here is Miss Leona's channel, Ebony, Ivy, and Time with Leona. So if you have not joined her community, please do so because we are two individual channels. So
we
be
are.
sure to jump over there and see her. And this this particular episode is also brought to you by my course,
Mhm.
Yes You Can, a beginner's guide to water bath canning. And if you ever wanted to learn how to preserve jams and jellies and all those kind of things, you can sign up for my course and I walk you through step by step how to do water bath canning. And I do have the link in the description box below so you can check that out. So, okay, so now I'm going to come back over here. And Leona, I was talking with you earlier
Mhm.
about some of the things that I observed over the weekend. So let me just share that with our
Mhm.
visitors, and then we can go from there. So this weekend, I watched a dad spend 3 hours in the car. I mean, literally 3 hours in the car, picking up one child from school, sitting through traffic, stopping for some work errands, then heading straight to another school to pick up another child, well, straight to another school to watch the other child's play.
Mhm.
So dinner didn't happen until after the play. And so that was about 8:30 that night. And so it happened at a restaurant, of course. And the next night it was pretty much the same.
Mhm.
So by the time they got home, it was definitely too late to cook. And everybody involved was exhausted.
I know.
So
I,
that really opened my eyes. So, Miss Leona, what do you have to say, or what is your experience in that regard?
well, I can start with myself of so many evenings of where I was working every day. Of course, a mom having to get kids off to school every day and having to make sure that they were covered in the afternoon because I worked. But then my husband traveled.
Hmm.
He traveled at least 4 to 5 days a week. And so, because of that, um, a lot of the pressure was on me. So I spent many a night of where I was laying in bed, supposed to be asleep, trying to prepare for the next day, and my mind just wouldn't shut down. And so I went on like that, really, to be honest with you, for years. And so many of us, I'm finding, is that I wasn't by myself, that there were a lot of mothers, a lot of fathers, even those fathers who are responsible for their families and for their children. Because, Denise, at this point, there are there, I don't know the exact numbers, but there's a large number of dads who are having to care for the children
Hmm.
because the moms are the ones having to are the ones working, and especially now so many fathers have lost their jobs or they've been laid off they're just not working right now. And
Mm-hmm.
so because of that, their situations have flipped. So where it used to be mom carrying the load, now dad's carrying the load. And
Mm-hmm.
to some extent, um, it's interesting that um, the stressors that have been affecting women for so long are now affecting the dads.
Yes,
Hmm.
absolutely. It's also affecting the dads. And sometimes I think it's possible that it could even affect the children.
That's true. And I do believe that. I really believe that because when mom or dad's stressed, then you may inadvertently say things a little sharper. Our feelings might get hurt. Children are having to put off dinner until a later time. Their meals may not be as healthy as we'd like for them to be. So it's tough. It's a tough one.
It really is. And when I was talking about this young father who was in the car for 3 hours, to
Hmm.
and fro, when I was a young mom, young housewife, I was usually home by 4 o'clock.
Hmm.
My husband was usually home by 6. We had
Hmm.
dinner on the table between 5:30 and 6 o'clock. We sat down and we ate as a family. If
Hmm.
kids had after school activities, there was an activity bus. And the
Right.
activity bus picked them up and it dropped them off like 1 or 2 blocks from the house.
Hmm.
Um, and so they were good to go that way. It wasn't like me running all over town to have to pick them up.
Hmm.
So it's definitely a new day, and I have really said to myself that I need to reframe how we can get the support to our young homemakers that they need.
Hmm.
And when I say our young homemakers, we got those that have probably some younger ones that might be in swimming or like PAL football or something
Hmm.
like that. And then we have those middle school and high school parents whose kids are doing like dance and football or
Oh
track,
yeah.
theater and all that kind of stuff. So there's the parents anywhere from probably 30 up to high school age, with high school age children that
Hmm.
are struggling with these issues.
That's true because it really pretty much affects all of the parents of children who are less than driving age of the
Mhm,
children. So before those children are able to actually drive on their own, parents are the ones who are taking them to and fro.
mhm.
And the thing of it is that sometimes I know I have been guilty of this. You want your children to participate. So you have things going on at school. You have things going on at possibly your church, or
Mhm.
you may have neighborhood football teams or whatever that may be going on. And sometimes our children end up overbooked.
Yes.
And some of those, groups that they participate in are pretty intense
Mhm.
and they're time intensive. So it means that, mom's not at home. She's not able to, our dad, they're not at home to spend time nicely preparing dinner, getting everything out on the table. They are sitting in a car somewhere waiting for Johnny or Susie to come out. Or they may actually be one. I know we've got a play that's going on right now with church. So we've got kids who are, the parents are sitting out in the car hoping that we finish on time,
Yes.
and I understand. So I'm very cognizant of the fact that when 6 o'clock comes, we're out of here.
Yeah.
Whether we're ready to go or not, we need to make sure that our children are out. And then if you have high schoolers or middle schoolers, you may have homework that you
Exactly.
still have to deal with
They still
once
have
you
to
get
deal with
home.
when they get
So
home. So
yeah.
one of the things that I want to say is that our goal for tonight is that um, to help homemakers recognize the mental weight that they carry every day. And I'm going to say that again. We want you to recognize the mental weight that you carry every day and understand that you're not alone And then we hope to give you some practical ideas, some practical tips to help you lighten your load, especially in today's world. Because today's world, like I said, is fast paced, it is overscheduled, and
Mhm.
it's certainly not like it was when we were young moms.
No,
So I'm going to ask you guys to keep that goal in mind. And why don't we just jump in real quick and say hello before we get started?
sounds
And
good.
um, so let's see. And I understand there was a little bit of a trouble with the link, and so I put the link back in into the chat for a few people, and then Hazel said she was able to find it. So there's Yaya, and there's Molly, and Cal. Cal, how you doing? I saw your message that said you were going to have surgery. So let us
Mm,
know how things went out and if you're doing okay.
yeah.
Florence, good to have you with us as well. And this is a topic that probably you could certainly weigh in on
Oh,
because
yes.
we're talking about these parents that are overbooked, kids overbooked, overscheduled,
Mhm,
carrying that invisible workload. So that's what we're talking
mhm,
about tonight.
mhm.
And then we've got Peach Pearl is here. And then let's see. Oh, Peach said it's not planned this live. Peach, somebody else said there was a problem. I put the live stream in the I put it somewhere in the
In the
description. I'll
comments.
put it in
Mhm.
again. Um, I'll just put it in again. I think I still have it. So try this and that should help because Hazel said she was able to get in. I don't know what the
Mhm.
problem is,
I don't
but
know.
Hazel said she was able to get in. So yeah, Hazel said that link worked that I just dropped in. So it's in there again if you guys need it. Let me create a banner for that. So if I have to do it again and I've lost it, I can just pop it in.
Well, I tell you what, it's quite a discussion. You know, when you think about it, I think about my daughter, and she is a swimmer, and she swims until 7 o'clock at night.
Mhm.
And she's a middle schooler. So that means she still has to come home, try to figure out homework. She's got dinner to deal with. And so it just means that everybody goes to bed a little later.
Mhm.
So
And
it's
so
crazy.
Tam says that her 14-year-old does competitive dance. The
Mm,
12-year-old son does basketball. She said, never mind the two 4-year-olds. She said, it's total madness right now. So, yes.
I
Oh,
bet.
so Cal's surgery is October 31st. She hasn't had it yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Keep us
Well,
posted.
yes. And for those of you who are having trouble that said the live link wasn't working, here it is again in the description box. So if you need it, copy it and then paste it in the URL. I'm not sure why that's not working, but
I
okay.
don't know.
So, and then while we're thinking about things, let me just go ahead and ask, when was the last time you felt completely caught up? Does that ever happen anymore? And I will say, Leona, it's been a minute since I felt completely caught up. For the past 2 weeks, I just felt like I've been in a little hamster cage on that little hamster wheel.
I bet you have. And I'm on that hamster wheel right now.
Mhm,
I was just telling Miss Denise that we have house guests and that are going to be with us for a little while. And today I had everything I thought all laid out and planned out, and because that's how we do. And lo and behold, an emergency came about that I had to stop, drop everything that I had, and leave. And so I got back at the very last minute. And so the good thing is that if I hadn't planned in advance, then they would have to go somewhere and have dinner, or they'd have to order, using DoorDash. But luckily, I had dinner already ready. So, we're never, I, I don't think we're ever really caught up.
So let me ask you this when we're talking about the invisible workload, and I'm going to define
Mhm,
that again in a little bit.
mhm.
What were the things running through your mind when you got the phone call and then you had to leave? What were some of the things you were thinking about?
Oh gosh, I was thinking, oh my goodness, I haven't set up my StreamYard, and oh my goodness, I still needed I had a salad I needed to make, and I found out that I had something else that I was supposed to do for church today. You know, normally I'm at Bethel on Wednesday, and this is normally somewhat of a busy day. But because of everything else that's been going on, it just tripled
Mhm.
today. And, we're, when we were younger, we could handle or
Yes.
I could handle it better. But now when something like that happens, it's as if it just wipes me out.
Well, and I don't multitask as well as I used to.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a little bit of a problem for me too. So
Mhm.
okay, so let's uh so DJ said it's a YouTube issue, not specific to your channels. I did put the link back in,
Mhm.
and Hazel said it was helpful. So see if that link that I popped in will really help. But Tam says if there was a time when she was caught up, it had to be before her husband and kids.
That's
All
probably
right,
true.
I did that. And Blue Skies is well.
Yeah.
She's saying hello as well. So, okay, let's talk about what that invisible workload is and
Mhm.
what that actually looks like. Let's talk about that.
Oh
So, when
yeah.
we talk about the invisible workload, what we're talking about are those things that are kind of simmering beneath the top of your mind. It's
Mhm.
not just the chores that you have to do, but it's the thinking about the chores or
Mhm.
planning ahead for something else, for everything that needs to be done. So what are some examples you give, Leona, that might be some of those things that we're thinking about and trying to plan ahead
Mhm.
for?
Well, when you have a job, and whether your job is in the house, it doesn't matter. Whatever that job is, typically when you get up in the morning, you have kind of an idea of what your day is going to look like. And of course, as a mom, you know that entails, if you have children, that's going to entail the children. You kind of know what their schedule is going to be for the day, and so you've mentally prepared for that portion of it.
Hmm.
And then when other things start to fall in the way, and I think that's what really causes more of the stress, when you have all those little, and it's the little things
Yeah.
that, things don't work. Like in our case, the brakes of the truck went out, and we had to sit for 2.5 hours waiting for a tow truck. And so here I'm sitting in a car, and could have been doing something else.
Thinking about all those things you
Yes,
have to
and
do.
I'm thinking about that. So it's the mental work and anguish that causes a great amount of stress on us.
Okay, and part of that, when we think about that, it's also those day-to-day things or week-to-week things that we have to think about. The
Mhm,
emergencies are one thing because when the emergency happens, it takes us out of sync. So the
mhm,
things we were planning to do,
mhm.
now we have that on top of something else, or we might
Oh,
have to
yeah,
pick what we were planning to decide and come up with a plan B, C, or D.
absolutely.
Also, trying to remember the dental appointments or keeping
Mhm,
track of the school dress up day, or
mhm.
tomorrow's picture day, so you got to
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that, or noticing that you're low on milk, or being the family calendar keeper, keeping
Oh,
track of what's going to go on the
mhm,
calendar, who's got this, who's got that. We've got swim practice today, maybe there's a swim meet on the weekend, that
mhm.
kind of thing. And then just making sure there's a meal plan, and then there's a backup plan, and there's a lunch plan.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
kids don't want to have what they have on tap at school lunch today. So I want to take my lunch today.
Exactly. or you get ready to put the lunch together and you have no bags. And it's the little things. It's like you place a grocery order, or you go to the grocery, and especially when your mind is filled with so many different things, you will forget something.
Yes.
And it's not until you need it that you realize, oh, I didn't get the so and so. And it's usually something critical. And so it just I'm terrible. I'm a night stressed person. I went for years not sleeping well.
Mm.
And it was because, and in fact, I kept a tablet next to the bed, because in the middle of the night, when things would hit, I'm in the dark trying to write down whatever it is so I wouldn't forget it. Once I got it written, then I could go to sleep. But if I couldn't do that, it would not shut down.
So when you say that, I want to bring that, I want to make people hear that. When you say it wouldn't shut down, it's like having a
Mhm,
tab open in your brain. So
mhm,
think about when you're on your computer, you might have three, four, five different windows open at one
mhm,
time while you're scooting around, looking at different things, searching this, searching that. The same thing is going on in your brain. You've got
mhm.
so many different tabs open while you're thinking about the dental appointment. You're thinking about the school play. You're thinking about, I got to buy cookies for this week's snack, because I don't think you can make cookies anymore. I think you have to buy everything
Right,
these
you do,
days.
you do.
But there's that kind of thing. So it's those invisible to-do lists that never get written down, or often don't get written down, but somehow they do always get done. And but they're just kind of sitting somewhere, either on your shoulder or in your brain, and it's
Mhm.
not allowing you to wind down. So
That's
that's that
true.
invisible load that homemakers have. And it's not just the moms, but it's also the dads, and it's your
Absolutely.
kids and your young adults, your college students, and all those as well.
And just to kind of throw in here, when we think about couples, that's something we didn't talk about earlier, but that's something that I thought about as couples. That can be a great stress factor,
Mm-hmm.
because we're moms, we're in the midst of it, and we tend to multitask a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes dad gets left out
Mm-hmm.
of the shuffle of everything. And so some marriages survive that,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of marriages don't. And that's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's important that that can be a shared responsibility, and we'll come to that. But even the dad that I talked about, and that was a real life situation that I observed,
Hmm.
even
Hmm.
the dad that I talked about, he's not just carrying, you know, he's carrying that invisible load too,
Hmm.
because he had to keep track of time, trying to coordinate where when he can go for the work errands, when he can pick up one child, when he needs to be at the school for the next thing. So that invisible load might look a little different for each person, but
Sure.
it is there.
Oh, yeah. And
Definitely.
it's real.
So let me ask, what's one invisible task you do every day that no one notices? We
Hmm.
just ask, not just you, but
Hmm.
to our people that are out there, what is one invisible task that you do every day that no one notices? And these tasks aren't always big,
No,
and they're
no.
just small things, but they're things that get done and
Mhm.
nobody notices. And I'll jump
Mhm.
in there. For me, I think that task is cleaning the bathroom. That's something
Boom.
that I,
Doing the laundry.
yeah, pardon?
Doing the laundry. That's an everyday task.
Yes.
It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My husband, he notices when I do the laundry, and he's pretty good. He'll say, "Well, I'll put it away since you washed it." But cleaning the bathroom, if the bathroom never got cleaned, he would not notice. We could have a ring this thick around the bathroom bowl. He wouldn't notice it. So those are just things that he just doesn't see. And
Yeah,
that's gonna be different in everybody's house as
and that's
well.
true.
So, what's one invisible task you do every day that nobody sees? Let's see if we got
Oh
anybody
yeah.
making
Oh
comments on
yeah.
that.
Molly's already given her answer.
Ah, dishes.
Hmm. Keeping those dishes out of the sink, washing them, or either putting them into the dishwasher. Ah,
Mm-hmm.
it just keeps going. Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, she cooks and roasts like,
I
and then
love.
Angela says, "Oh, go ahead."
It said, "I am not your mama." Did you see that on She Cooks and Roast?
No.
Pull her back up. Now look at her little tag.
Oh,
Isn't that cute?
yes, I am not your mama. So yeah, yeah, especially when you're working like, look, I am not the maid and I am not your mama. You need to be cleaning out this sink or cleaning out the coffee pot and different
There
things
you
like
go.
that. So
There
yeah,
you go. I
exactly.
love that.
So Molly says dishes are one of the things that she does, the invisible task.
Hmm.
Um, Tam says cleaning the kitchen 1,000 times,
Oh yeah.
cleaning the living room throughout the day. Yep,
Hmm. Hmm. And
yep.
when you have young children, certainly that's something you're constantly doing, both of those. And I'd even have to add the bathroom, especially if you have boys.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes,
Hmm.
yes. Okay, so when we talk about, I had mentioned the father and that it shows up differently in every home. So one of the things that we've got, like we've got a set of four, or is it three different sets of parents.
Hmm.
Excuse me. Three different sets of parents or kind
Hmm.
of homemakers. One of them is the stay-at-home parent. And I didn't say stay-at-home mom because these days some of the dads are staying at home,
That's right.
especially in this particular environment. So many people have lost their jobs. So it
Hmm.
could be the dad that's home and it could be the mom that's home. But so there's that stay-at-home parent. And when you're a stay-at-home parent, you are constantly on call.
Absolutely.
There's no clear end to your day. It's just like,
Mm-mm.
it's just going, going, going. And the mental list never stops.
No.
So you've got, the house, the kids, the meals, errands,
Mhm.
volunteering, etc., PTA, whatever. And
Mhm.
that stay-at-home parent may feel undervalued because the work necessarily isn't seen,
Mhm.
or work in the home, particularly mom kind of work, isn't
Mhm.
necessarily valued. It's
It's
so
assumed. Yeah.
valued. It's assumed.
Mhm.
So if one of these stay-at-home parents has recently lost their job, and particularly if it's male, has recently lost his job. So in addition to taking on these new responsibilities, he may also be dealing with some issues related to self-esteem and all that kind of
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm. That's true. That's true. And I don't know. I've seen two in particular men who have had to come home and they have had to assume the job of taking care of the home, taking care of the children, getting doing the cooking, the works.
Mhm.
One adjusted very well, very well, and but the other is struggling, and so I'm not sure if it's just he's just not used to doing a lot of the things that he now understands that he needs to do, or whether he's struggling with not knowing what to do. That's part of the issue too, because a lot of fathers don't know what mom does every day.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
because of that, when they have to come home and the roles switch, it's like, oh my gosh, you do all of this. And
Mhm.
that's when fathers really learn to appreciate
Mhm.
having mom at home.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So when we're looking at a working parent, then let's talk about the role that they have to play. Their working parent could be part-time, could be full time, it could be working in the home or working outside the home, but they're still a
Mhm,
working parent, and
mhm,
they have not only now their job they're expected to complete, but all
mhm.
the duties associated with being a homemaker. You want to jump in on that one?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think the best time that would just wake up all of us was COVID, when COVID
Hmm.
hit, and everybody had to come home. Jobs, those people who were working from home realized that to some extent the job never quit. It was hard finding that time, where normally you would leave the office, say at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and come on
Hmm.
home. Well, when you're working from home, that may not be the case. You may still have calls and those kind of things that you need to do.
Hmm.
So that was a real time, I think, for a lot of families to look at each other and say, we've got to do something different. I realize now that, this is what your job has been, this is what your job has been, and we need to try to divide it a little better.
Hmm.
And, I think communication has a lot to do with it too. Being
Yes.
able to communicate and say, I need help.
Hmm.
And so many of us, I mean, I'm not really an I need help kind of person.
Hmm.
And so, I can only blame that on myself. But as a young wife, that wasn't me. I thought I was super mom, I could do it all. And, but it took its toll over time. So
Hmm.
then I had to backtrack and say, I need a little help here. And,
Exactly.
and that's something we do need to communicate what our feelings are.
And that's the thing too. When you're a working parent, you're doing double duty because you've got
Hmm.
your home life that you have to take care of, and you can't put that on hold. And then
No.
you have your work life that you have to do, and you can't necessarily put that on hold. And
Hmm.
your evenings can become a blur of cooking, cleaning, laundry, helping with homework, and that kind of thing. And so, Blue Skies is on tonight, and let me just say, she's been working on a series of self care ideas for homemakers this month on my community tab. So
Hmm.
you guys can thank Blue Skies for making sure that you've got some suggestions and ideas to provide care for yourself for this month. And
Mhm,
that's one of the things that so often we don't think to do.
mhm,
And let me just say again, real quick, for those of you, if you were having trouble with the link, try this one and you should be able to get in. I haven't heard anybody else say they're having trouble, and the
mhm.
people that did have gotten in now. So let's hope. And it's in the description, it's in the chat. So you should be able to copy and paste that, and then
Mhm.
you should be fine.
Well, Miss Denise, stop there. We've been pretty serious, but I've got some good news that I just can't hold on
Okay.
to.
Okay. What is
I
it?
had the fun, um, a really happy moment a little while ago, just before the show, and I was getting things set up for tonight's show, only to find that I had last week had gone to 4,000 subscribers, and tonight I'm at 4,810
Hey,
subscribers.
hot dog.
Yay!
Hot dog. Well, every week I would say Miss Leona is on her way to 5K, and she is almost there. So less
Almost.
than 200 more subscribers, and
Oh,
she
yeah.
will be there. So if you have not joined her YouTube family, please do so. But everybody, let's give Miss Leona some congratulations. Let's show her some love and say, way to go, way to go, way to go. So, yes, way to go, Miss Leona.
I
I
am so
am so
thankful.
happy for you.
I am excited, and I have to say this publicly. Thank you, Miss Denise. You all just don't know the support that she gives me in the background. Great ideas. She um, she really is a sister by another
Thank
mister,
you.
and but she has certainly been a strong support both with the channel as well as just as a great friend.
Well, thank
So,
you.
hugs, hugs, and I think you all need to know that.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, well, let's talk just a little bit about what are some of the things that they can do to try to help relieve some of the stress? What are some practical strategies that people can do to try to relieve some of that stress? And Blue Skies is saying congratulations. And then she also was saying, yay. And
Yay!
Sam is saying congratulations. And then Hazel is sending you kisses and hugs. And then Blue Sky is sending some more. Oh, I was wondering what that was.
What is he? Oh, I see.
I don't know. And then Molly is saying, "You go, Miss Denise. Look, this is about Miss Leona tonight, so but thank you. But yes, and congratulations to Miss Leona because she's been working really hard and she has great content. So if you guys have not checked out her content, be sure to do that. And just one more time, I will share the screen and show you her channel. And here she is.
And welcome to Ebony IBN Time. And I'm Leona Dooley. Today, we are participating in a collaboration with Miss Denise of Homemaking with Denise. Now, the fun thing is going to be.
And this is a dessert collaboration. So if you guys have not checked that out, you want to be sure to go on over and see that. And I did link that particular video in our description box. So be sure to check that out. And
We've
then
had so
Tamika
much
says,
fun.
awesome. Happy
Thank
for
you.
you.
Thank you.
And Tracy says, hello, ladies.
No.
And Danny is saying, woohoo, woohoo. So, yes. And then we've got Debbie who is saying congratulations. So,
Thank
yes,
you.
thank you guys so much. All right. So, now we're going to give you some practical strategies on how to sort some of this out. And Miss Leona, you're big on this. You've got your little notebook. And tip number one is going to be to write it down. So, you want to jump in on that one because that's your
Yes.
thing.
In fact, I brought my book tonight. And, it's one of those things that sometimes you just need to put things down. Let's face it, we're all smart. We've all got great minds, but we all forget. And sometimes when you put things down, then that helps you to release it from the back of your mind. And
Mm-hmm.
I find that is one of the most powerful things that I can do for myself is, it's not that I'm saying, Leona, you're getting old and you need to write it down. That's not the case. The thing is that writing it down allows you to put it in a place that you're going to come back to. And so your mind doesn't have to hold on to it as tight. And plus, it gives you a place to just do your list. Then
Mm-hmm.
you can check it off as you go and you can find success because when you see those check marks of the things that you've done, that you've accomplished, whether it's for a day, whether it's for the week, that is a great success.
What are
And
some ways they can write things down? You have any suggestions for that?
you mean, what are the ways?
Yeah, like what kind
Well,
of things?
I like bullet points, just doing little bullet points, say, um, what you want your day to look like. Say, for me, I'm getting up, I get dressed, I got to take care of the bathroom, make sure the bathroom is clean when I get out, make sure that I've done the laundry,
Mhm.
and make sure that the breakfast has been done. And you may not have to be quite that detailed, but if it's a day when I have errands to run, I need to
Mhm.
jot down what those errands are going to be. If I have a grocery um, haul or pickup or delivery, whatever it's going to be, I need to have that grocery list. And sometimes the grocery list is actually written in the book. Sometimes it's written on a separate sheet of paper that I can put in the notebook. But that gives me a chance each time to note whenever it is. Now, like today, I had a grocery delivery, and I knew it was supposed to come at a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as luck would have it, uh, I left one of the guests at home while I went out for what had to be done today. And so she was able to bring the groceries in, and she went ahead and put the groceries up for me. And
Oh,
so, which was so nice, and that saved me. And so, but I, in the midst of everything, I would have forgotten that I even had the groceries to deal with if I hadn't written it down.
and those refrigerator items would have been sitting out on the porch.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
you know, when you say write it down, I know you have your little notebook that you like to use. And
Mhm.
then Heather here says a planner and sharing responsibilities. And then, of course, prayer never hurts. And I
Absolutely.
know you have your planner that you like to use. So you want to just hold it up for a second?
Oh yeah. I have, I'm a B6 size planner, and
Hmm.
this is one that I'm trying for this year. And I have, you all will laugh because I have already ordered 26,
Oh,
1926, and it's here. And
hmm.
I'm already in the process of getting it set up for next year. So I will have everything here. But this is a great planner to be able to, it's small enough that I can throw it in my purse, take it with me, and it has worked out very well. Um, I think I'm saying this carefully. You know how I am about that basic stology, but I find with this one, all the little extra things I like to do, like decorating and all that kind of thing, I can do that in here as well. But
Do
it
you have
is,
that in your description box?
I will. And in
Okay.
fact, it's in my Amazon store. And I will also put it in the description box. But it's a page a day. And so, I can go in, I can put in information, whatever it may be, whatever I need to jot. If you're, sometimes I need to sit down at the end of the day and to jot down what I've done for the day. Just sometimes that's the way it works. But what it does help me to do is to sleep
Uh,
and to feel better about that day, because then I can look back and see all the things I've accomplished. And so, it, you may think, I don't know if I want to have to do all of that. Well, no, you don't have to decorate. You don't have to do any of that. But you may have a page that just strictly has written information. But having a planner is a valuable, I don't know what happened here with my light.
well, and you know what? Having a planner is valuable, but when we talk about having a planner, it doesn't have to be that. It could be as simple as these little
Absolutely.
composition notebooks that you can pick up
Mhm.
at the dollar store.
Mhm.
It could be like one of those day planners, or
Yeah.
no, I can't think of what they. You can buy them at Michael's and different places
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
It could
Just
just
little
be, mhm,
inexpensive,
yes,
little planners that you can get.
or it could just be a little notebook, that
Absolutely.
kind of thing. The important thing is to write it down. Now, one
Absolutely.
thing that my daughter used to do when I would go visit, and I would see on her refrigerator, she had a big
Mhm.
whiteboard with
Mhm.
those erasable markers, and she would
Mhm.
have on the
Mhm.
whiteboard things written down that they had to do for the week. Maybe it was somebody had a dental appointment,
Mhm.
somebody had this appointment, it was picture day. So
Mhm.
there was that they would have on there to do, but some kind of a wall whiteboard, or it could be a digital app that is shared that you can
That's
put
good.
people's information on. And then you could also have a household schedule or a calendar
Mhm.
that is visible to everyone so that everyone
Mhm.
can look to see what needs to happen that day. And then once it's seen, it can be shared. So it's not like that.
Absolutely.
And plus,
Absolutely.
like you said earlier, once it's written down, it's out of the brain. And so
Mm.
once it's on the calendar, everybody can see it. And so then maybe you can delegate. So it's no longer just your mental burden,
Mhm.
but it's something that now that it's visible, it can be shared. And once it's visible, it can be delegated.
Absolutely. Another thing, while they're writing just the day-to-day things that need to be done, also keep a running list for groceries.
Oh, yes.
Because you don't have to be the only one to write things down on the grocery list. As things run out, then whomever used the last of the cereal, then they can jot down Honey and Nut Cheerios or Raisin Bran Crunch, whatever it is, or a loaf of bread. And but it needs to be something. And I agree. I'm looking at blue skies that I like something that's pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
And I see she says if it's not cute, she won't open it up. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You make it yours.
Exactly. So tip number 2 is have a mental load conversation. So
Mm,
now what does that mean? When we talk about have a mental load conversation, we're talking about now that things are visible, you can that you've written them down, they're visible, you can delegate them, but you can also discuss them. You can have a
mhm,
conversation with your significant other or with
mhm,
your family, because even your children can participate in that
mhm,
discussion and explain how much mental work you're doing.
mhm.
And that helps to avoid blame, but focus on the balance of, okay, this is what we've got going on in the family this week. And how can you help me with this? It's
That's true.
wearing me out. Can we talk about how to divide up some of it?
That's true. And one thing to also keep in mind as we're doing that is sometimes I don't want to say that we don't want high expectations,
Hmm.
but I'm going to say, and this is something that I dealt with. Um, if you ask your 12-year-old, say, to vacuum the carpets on the first floor,
Hmm.
and they do it, but maybe the lines are not as straight as you would like for them to be if you were doing it,
Hmm.
then um, be thankful that they vacuumed the floor, and you can tell that they vacuumed the floor, and don't go back and redo it or fuss at them for the fact that the lines weren't perfect. So sometimes when we look at those expectations, we have to kind of cover our mouth and just say, "Thank you so much for vacuuming today," and
Hmm.
let it go, and let it go. And then when it's something else going on, then you can say, the next time you vacuum the floor, do you mind kind of getting those lines into what it is? It's a more pleasant approach. Then that person's not upset, and you're getting what you'd like to have.
And you're setting the expectations so they can have a better chance of meeting the expectations if they know what they are.
Exactly.
That's definitely something
Exactly.
that you want to talk about. And
Hmm.
then you can encourage your partner, or you can encourage the kids maybe to own an entire category. Like maybe instead of
Hmm.
you checking all the book bags every night and signing all the permission slips and packing all the lunches and then all this kind of thing, maybe you can share some of that either with your partner, or the kids can take ownership of some of that.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
maybe hubby or your partner or the older children can help be
And
in
that's
the
true.
Olympics.
That's true. I've noticed, um, I don't think they'll mind, but anyway, my son and his wife I mean, they work like a well-oiled machine.
Mhm.
And so when, in the evening, when when their little girl comes home in the evening, then, he's there. He makes sure that the, book bag's emptied, those kind of things, whatever needs to be checked off. And then in the morning, it's like mom's on duty. Then she makes sure the lunches are met. Everybody has a particular part of the chore to
Mhm.
do. And
Mhm.
so, but it breaks it up. It doesn't put all of the burden on one person,
Mhm.
and it makes it a little easier, and everyone leaves home a lot happier. So, a mental load conversation, goes back to that communication. You
Mhm.
have to communicate and say, but do it in a nice way. Don't wait until you're on overload
Yeah.
and then have that conversation, because it's not going to be received well. And
No. And you know what, too? I think your son and his wife have divided up the responsibilities to the
Mhm,
point that they each have ownership on
mhm,
a particular part of the process. And I think that's
exactly.
important is that you
Mhm,
don't just say, well, can you help me today? But it's like
mhm,
you give them ownership of a particular part of the process. So when my youngest one was little and we had to drop, the baby off at the babysitter, and then the two
mhm,
kids went to daycare or to school or something like that, um, someone had to fix breakfast and someone had to do this. Well, it
mhm,
was my husband's job to fix
mhm,
breakfast. And while he
mhm,
fixed breakfast, I got the baby and the kids ready. And then it
mhm,
was time to head out the door. I took the baby to the babysitter and he took
mhm.
the bigger kids, dropped them off at daycare. So it was
Uh-huh.
like we each had responsibilities that we
Mhm,
we
mhm,
wanted to have. And it
mhm.
just kind of really helped to work things out.
It does. It
Mhm.
does.
The other thing to think about, and I didn't, did I? I don't think I wrote that down, but let me just see. Three. Let me just ask this question. Nope, we did that one. How do you handle dinner when the day just gets away from you? And I put that question in because this one the young father that I witnessed doing all this to and froing
Mhm.
with one of my sons. And I would always wonder why. How come you guys always having dinner so late? Now I know why.
Exactly.
Now I know why. So how do you handle dinner when the day just gets away from you? We ate out every day.
Mhm,
That's
mhm.
all there was to it. There just wasn't any other time.
You know, when your DoorDash deliverer knows you by name and you know them by name, then you know what's having to happen. It's
Yes.
that everyone's schedule is so crazy that DoorDash becomes your best friend.
Hmm.
And you're finding someone to prepare the meals for you. And
Yes.
so, you know, thank God that there are restaurants that participate with DoorDash, especially for busy families. And at first I thought, you know, my children that was there. I thought, why are
Yeah.
you doing that? And I'm going, well, you should be cooking your da 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 da. Okay.
Exactly.
And they looked at me and said, stay in your lane. But the thing of it is, when I was there and could see it, then I understood completely why we were eating at 8 o'clock at night.
Exactly. Because I
Yes,
didn't understand. I'm like, well, gosh, it's 8:30. Y'all just having dinner.
yes.
However, now I understand when you've been in the car for 3 hours, sometimes,
Mhm.
you're going to eat out or DoorDash. And I have one of my nieces, she has DoorDash on standby. They have DoorDash every
Yes,
day for dinner.
yes.
But now I understand because by the time she gets off work at 6,
Mhm.
she's exhausted.
You
And
know it.
trying to make a meal is just too exhausting. And it's easier for
Mhm,
her for them to order in something for dinner
mhm,
and just have it done that way. So I'm a lot more understanding now. And
mhm.
I will admit, since you said they told you to stay in your lane, I will admit, whereas I didn't make comments about, well, I always had dinner on the table at 5:30. I was wondering what's wrong with y'all. Now, so I understand. Like I said, I was a little
Mhm.
judgmental. I didn't say it, but was in here. Now I understand. It's a
I do.
different day. It's
That's
a
true.
different day. And so, how do you guys handle dinner when the day just gets away from you? Let's see what people have to say about that. Uh, Oh, let's see. Debbie's Kitchen is on. Hey, Debbie, how
Hey,
are you?
Debbie.
We're asking, how do people, we're talking about today with the invisible workload that so many homemakers face. And so the question is, how do you handle dinner when the day gets away from you? Now, I know you're home all day like we
Mm-hmm.
are, but
Mm-hmm.
regardless, sometimes the day can get away depending on what's going on. Like Miss Leona
Mm-hmm.
had an emergency that kind of got in the way. So how do you handle day? So
Mm-hmm.
here's Nitty T. She's here late, but she's here.
Yay.
So let's see. Heather says put food in the fridge and freezer that are easy to cook or warm up.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Mm-hmm.
that is a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you, please drop those ideas here because some of these young homemakers or some of these more seasoned homemakers are
Mm-hmm.
living this struggle right now. So if you have
Absolutely.
a suggestion that is helpful, tell them. So Heather, I agree with you 100%. How much do you
Mm-hmm.
do much freezer meals, Miss Leona?
Oh yeah, freezer meals are a great option. And also pre-planning. If
Mhm,
you have a chance on the weekend to, prepare multiple meals at the same time, then that gives you a chance to put some of that food into your refrigerator. So
mhm.
when you have a busy night, you can just go pull it out, warm it up, everybody's ready to eat. And that helps tremendously.
Now, C. Pollard says that my husband and I will eat out. And you know what?
Mhm.
We have been doing that too much. And so today I had a doctor's appointment, and then my husband wanted to go and visit his brother. And then he
Mhm.
had something else he was supposed to do at 3 o'clock. And I'm like, well, because I was going to say, well, what about lunch? He said, well, we can eat while we're out. And I'm thinking to myself, we've been eating out too much lately. So on the way from one appointment to the next, I said, I made soup yesterday and it's in the
Uh-huh.
refrigerator. He said, oh, yeah, we could have soup and sandwiches. So that was what we did. I
Yeah.
made a big pot of potato soup, which he came
Mhm.
home late and didn't
Mhm.
eat any of.
Mhm.
So him having it today was the first time he'd had it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he had some sandwiches with that blue skies. He had soup and sandwich. She's always talking about soup and sandwich. I'm like, what's up with the soup and sandwich? I'm fine with soup and no sandwich, but just some crusty bread. But yeah, but to try to save time or to save
Mhm.
money, I've been putting some things in the freezer. And
Mhm.
last week he was like, okay, I'm hungry. What do we have quick? And I said, I can give you this, I can give you corn chowder, or I can give
Mhm.
you some pulled pork taco soup. Take your pick.
Mhm.
And then he decided
Absolutely.
which one he wanted. I could pull it out
Mhm.
of the freezer, pop it in the microwave, and we had that. And I can't remember if it was lunch or dinner, but I was able to get it out and get it on the table pretty
That's
quickly.
right. That's right. And one other thing, one suggestion to everyone is I like to do a weekly soup. And I'll make a large crock pot full of a particular soup, and then that way we may eat it that night or that afternoon. But the good thing is that I always make sure that I have an abundance of it, so that I can put it into containers, put it in the freezer, and that week, that's the soup of the week.
Mhm.
And so, whether it's lunch, whether it's dinner, you have the option of being able to use that or save it for another week
I
when you
like
need
that
it.
soup
Mhm.
of the week.
Mhm. Mhm. Yep.
Okay.
That helps tremendously.
Well, what I've been trying to do lately is that like when I made that pot of potato soup, it probably served six, so it wasn't as large as like when I made the pulled pork soup or pot of
Mhm.
chili. Those tend to serve more like eight.
Mhm.
I'll go
Mhm.
right ahead and then I'll portion out some and put it in the freezer right away.
Me
And
too.
then we'll have some for either lunch or dinner the next day. So
Mhm.
we've got that there. Or if I need to, I can put another batch in the freezer so that
Mhm.
we have it. But it just makes things a lot easier because I'm really trying not to eat out so much. And when
Mhm.
we do, I don't always choose the best things. When we eat out, I might choose some kind of a burger with fries
Mhm.
or something, some kind of dessert. I'm not going to always
Mhm.
choose the best thing, but if I make dinner at home, I'm more than likely choosing the best option.
That's true. That's true. Me too. I figure if I'm out, then that's my opportunity to have fun.
Hmm. Okay. So let's see. So Tam says meal prep planning ahead. She's learned cooking dinner and making lunches at the same time reduces her time in the kitchen. Okay, so for those of you out there that still got the lunches to make, meal prep and planning ahead, and while you're cooking dinner, make lunches at the same time reduces your time in
Mhm.
the kitchen.
Absolutely.
So she says she also has a 3:30 alarm. So if she hasn't already cooked
Mm.
dinner already, to start dinner so it's done early and most of the kitchen cleanup is done. I like that. And you know, Fly Lady Cat said if you haven't started dinner by 4:30, she felt like 4:30 was a hard stop time. Whatever you're
Mhm.
doing, stop at 4:30 and get that dinner started. I
Yep.
like the 3:30 alarm because that means
Mhm.
you started a little earlier.
Mhm.
So you can definitely have dinner on the table by 5:30.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Debbie says she's an empty nester and no
Mhm.
husband. So she's in no rush to get dinner on the table. But when she did have a family to feed, she worked part time, which made it easier to get dinner on the table by 6. Yeah, if you can get
Okay.
home at a certain time, that does make things a little bit easier.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. This girl drives me crazy talking about soup and sandwich. I can
Oh.
make pulled pork taco soup, and it's full of pulled pork. It's
Mhm.
thick and hearty. You've got beans and corn and
All
black
the good
beans
stuff.
and all that good stuff. Sandwich? You gonna have soup and sandwich? I'm like, no.
No.
Now, if I'm making tomato soup, I like to have grilled cheese sandwich.
Yep.
But she'll be like, when you go to Panera, they always have soup and sandwich. And then
That's
she'll
true.
sing the ditty, soup and sandwich. I'm like,
Oh.
Nitty T, frozen pizza and lasagna were her go-to when her daughter was young. She didn't want to buy another fast food dinner. And
Oh.
fast food is not number one fast anymore. And it's
No.
also not as inexpensive as it was at one time.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
go to Five Guys and it's just the two of us, and you don't get out of there without less than $35 at
Oh,
Five Guys.
yes.
You
Oh,
go to
yeah.
McDonald's today and you're gonna spend anywhere from $30 to $60, depending
That's
upon how
right.
many is in your family when you get there.
That's true. That's
Oh,
true.
now wait a minute. Listen to what our other sister from another mister said. Oh,
You
not
don't
that
like
soup.
soup?
Not any soup?
Oh my goodness.
Girl, what did you feed the kids? If you didn't ever feed soup, yeah, I'm like, oh. Girl, sometimes soup was it had to go on the table because it was
Oh my goodness. I tell you.
so Debbie says when she does cook, she'll eat off that for a couple days and freeze leftovers. And
Okay.
who we've been watching lately that's been freezing leftovers in single unit containers.
Farm girl. She's
Cassandra,
been.
yes, at Becoming a Farm
Mhm.
Girl. If you guys have not seen Cassandra at Becoming a Farm Girl, you have got to check her out.
She's a
That
hoot.
woman has been on a mission in making foods that she'll start on Monday and she'll cook so many different things. And her plan is you cook once and then you're going to be able to use this item all week. So you
Mhm.
guys gotta check her out. I'll put her link in I'll just put her name in the description box so you can check her out.
Yes, becoming a farm girl.
She is amazing, but she's really amazing. And I spelled becoming wrong,
That's okay.
but yeah, but you've got to try to plan ahead. And I forgot my train of
Mhm.
thought when I was writing that down. So, oh, we were talking about not liking soup.
Yes. I can't believe. Oh, Cal said. She's
Mary
answered.
says she's agreed. Mary,
What? Oh my goodness. I'm with you, blue skies. Oh,
she said she doesn't like it.
she
So
doesn't
Vicky
like it.
says soup and crackers or soup and cornbread. I'll do cornbread
I'm
muffins, or
yes.
we'll do crackers or crusty bread. I'll even take some
Mhm.
bread, put it in a toaster or in the oven, and
Mhm.
toast some bread up.
Mhm.
But I'm rarely going to make sandwiches with soup because I make the soup so hearty. I don't need like
Absolutely.
that additional bread meat.
Absolutely.
But like Blue Sky said, soup and sandwiches do go
They go
together.
together. Okay.
So now Debbie says she gives the frozen leftovers to her daughter because she's always happy to get them. And yeah, she's got some grandchildren, I believe, with this daughter. And so they're happy to get them. And Mary says she's 60 and have never liked soup. And Blue Sky says this is the first time she's ever heard anyone say they didn't like soup. Oh, and Blue Skies just just had a birthday a couple weeks ago.
Oh, happy
And
birthday.
yeah, happy birthday.
You're such a baby.
Yeah, 58 years old. And then Terry likes black bean soup with some crusty French bread. I
Oh,
made black
yes.
bean soup the other day, and oh
Mhm.
my goodness, was it ever good? Okay, so this is one of the things that we want to be sure that we talk about, though, is I can get that off the screen now too. When we talked about what are some ways, like what do you need to do when you're getting home late, because you're going to need to be able to do some of that.
Mhm.
But now the other thing we want to think about is simplify the family schedule is
Mhm.
something that you
Mhm.
might consider doing.
Absolutely. One thing, um, now I usually let the kids have whatever they want to do. And but that was because of my work schedule. I got home early enough that I could allow them to select whatever the activities were.
Hmm.
But I've noticed that my daughter limits them to one major activity.
Hmm.
And then that way, especially if it's something big, like if it's track or if it's swimming or whatever, and it's going to take multiple days and maybe a weekend to
Hmm.
get those things done. And so it may be that each of your children get to pick their one particular thing rather
Hmm.
than having two or three things going on for each child,
Hmm.
because that's when it really gets crazy. And
Hmm.
sometimes it was that I had to adjust my schedule
Yes.
and shut some things down.
Hmm.
I can't say, I have a hard time saying no, which,
Hmm.
and so sometimes I have to say no because I need to focus here.
Well, not just focus here, but sometimes you need to rest. So
Hmm.
you think,
Hmm.
and sometimes they need to rest. So when
That's
I think
true.
about when our kids were little, Jason mostly did basketball, but still
Hmm.
it was basketball camp, and other things he was in. Jill
Hmm.
was in cheerleading and
Hmm.
track, so you're driving back and forth to for that. And then by the time Justin came along, and he was doing soccer, he was doing track, and then he wanted to sign up for hockey. I just said, look, you got to pick one thing, because by that
Hmm.
time I was worn out. And plus I was
Hmm.
older too. So I thought,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't be running all over town every day. And I was beginning to do some things on my own now
Hmm.
that the older kids were older. So I
Hmm.
was starting to
Hmm.
begin to like discover who I was again. So
Exactly.
yeah.
And that's a powerful statement right there. Rediscovering who you are. We didn't include that, but so often, because of, I'm going to say, the chaos of the family, of all the things that are going on that we're trying to manage, we get lost in the shuffle. And so sometimes we're so busy putting ourselves in the background so that
Mhm.
we can make sure that the kids and the hubby and everybody's doing what they're supposed to do, that
Mm.
we forget the things that we really love. And
Right.
so it's not until our children are, say, in high school,
Hmm.
that all of a sudden it's like, wow, now I have time to do a few things that I want to do. And I can remember that moment. I really can. And it was so nice
Hmm.
to refine myself
Yes.
and to do
Right.
me. Hmm.
And it's okay if we say we can't do all the things. And if you want to limit each child to one activity per
Hmm.
season, like you said, I think that's okay.
I think it is
I
too.
think that's okay.
Hmm. Because they need to rest as well.
They do. The other thing we can think about doing is we can build rhythms
Hmm.
into the schedule.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And when I say rhythms, not necessarily routines, because
Mm-hmm.
let's say you have a rhythm of doing certain things every day at about the same time, but you know
Mm-hmm.
what? It doesn't have to be carved in stone, and
Mm-hmm.
some things can be let go of. So maybe we might have a rhythm for laundry, a rhythm for cleaning, and a rhythm for meals, like Cassandra and her, okay, on Monday we're going to cook this, and then on
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday we're going to transform it from this to this, and then on
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday we're going to transform that from this to that to that. Or
Mm-hmm.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do laundry. If I don't get it done
Mm-hmm.
on Monday and if I don't get Wednesdays done, fine, I can push it to Friday or
Do it
Saturday.
for Friday.
But you have a rhythm that's not necessarily carved in stone, but it does kind
Mhm.
of help to guide your week.
It does. And it gives you a little bit of flexibility as
Mhm.
well.
It
And that,
also reduces decision making and guilt.
yes, key word reduces the guilt.
Hmm. Now, Shania says that she loves a good rhythm, and she changed her verbiage from routine to rhythm, and it's a better flow for when life tends to
Mhm.
happen the way it naturally does. Yes,
Mhm. I
I like
agree.
that. I hadn't thought about that way, Shania, but
Mhm.
like you said, it's a better flow for when life tends to happen. You know, 'cause this is
Mhm.
the typical rhythm, but
Mhm.
we can always adjust that.
That's true. That's true.
So Debbie says she likes cooking in her crock pot. Does
Mhm.
make it easier to get dinner on the table when you're busy. Yes, get that crock
Yes.
pot set up first thing in the morning. Let whatever it
Mhm.
is cook all day. And then 4 or 5 o'clock, get it out, get dinner
Mhm.
on the table. So that's certainly a good idea as well. And I think having that rhythm of starting dinner between 3:30 and
Mhm.
4:30 is a good
Mhm.
one. It's not hard and fast, but it gives you an idea. Okay, we're coming close to 4:30. It's
Absolutely.
about time for me to start trying to get some food started so that by
Mhm.
5:30, 6 o'clock, we can be having some meals here.
Yes. And an early dinner really is better for you as far as your health is concerned
Hmm.
because it gives your body a chance to process before you plan to lay down at night. And today, my two crock pots, I had two crock pots going and that I had set up this morning. And so when life got to lifing, then I knew dinner was ready when we walked in the door.
Hmm.
And in less than 15 minutes, we were sitting down to the table.
Did you have fresh rolls?
I did. Ah!
As you guys know, she's the bread maker and she makes rolls all the time.
I did. And my friends went, homemade rolls? I said, yeah, we did homemade rolls. They were so good. They really
I
are.
want to get to the point that I can make rolls and I can make bread so often that
Hmm.
when I make it, my husband will be like, oh, okay. Not that, oh, you make bread today. You know, I want it to be natural, but okay. So, how many of you have tried to simplify your week by cutting back on activities and did it help?
Yes. And yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, have you guys, anybody out there that have tried to cut back? So, Shania says she likes her early dinner preps.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then Terry says she was lucky that her mom and grandmother were living and her husband, and she could have a date night.
Oh, that's
So that's
nice.
always helpful. Um, Cal says that takes too long. So you want to cook and get so the crock pot is too long for her. And I can
Hmm.
understand some people don't always like that. I
Hmm.
do.
Hmm.
Blue Sky says she's still working on that.
Okay.
Ooh, Cal says she's been in bed for 2 months.
Oh,
Well, let us know
no.
when you have that surgery, and hopefully things will go
Mhm.
well. I think she said she fell and broke something.
Yes, she did. Yes, she
Yeah.
did.
So,
Mhm. Bless your heart.
oh my.
Mm.
All right. So people are supposed to be telling us whether or not they tried to simplify their week and whether or not it helped.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The other thing that I would suggest is that they might also want to simplify their meals. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the homemakers have been jumping in with that one. So when
Oh
they talk
yes.
about, using their crock pot
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm. They can do sheet pan meals, of course, the crock pot. You can have, if you're prepping, say take a night and prep for the
mhm,
week, you can put like a whole one pot meal in a Ziploc bag so that all you have to do is just take it out, put it into the vessel, and you're ready to go. And, I had said earlier that we have house guests, and that's exactly what I did for the week. I knew how many nights that we were planning to eat in. And so I made sure that I had put those meals, I had done all the prep work. And so all I need to do each day is to take out whatever is necessary and get it going. And so, but that's been the way I pretty much run the kitchen for quite a while. So and when you talk about simplifying meals, that goes back to that plan that
yeah.
we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, of where you have your protein, you have a vegetable, whatever that vegetable may be. You may opt to have a starch. Do you have to have homemade bread? No, it can be a piece of toast, or it can just be a piece of bread, or it may be no bread at all. You
Or
may
bread from Kroger.
Absolutely. You may have rice or potatoes or whatever it may be. And so you can limit the number of items that you have for dinner, but you just want to make sure that you have enough of it so that, especially if you have teenage boys
Mm,
who can really eat you out of house and home, and they're going to go back for seconds, then you need to make sure that you have enough for them.
mhm,
But you want to have the things that they enjoy. And so, certainly, one pot meals are a lifesaver. And for those who have smaller families, what I like to do is to prepare the one pot meal, but I also do it the same way that I do with soups. I try to make enough so that I can put together whatever we're going to have that night and have a leftover meal. You can put it in the form of a TV dinner, two TV dinners if it's just two of you, but it gives you a chance to come back and circle back with that
mhm.
particular meal.
One of the things that I like to do, and you guys have probably heard me talk about this all the time, but two different things I like to do. One, roast chicken on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
We have roast chicken on Sunday. Then Wednesday or Thursday, we're gonna have chicken and dumplings or chicken
Mm-hmm.
and noodles. And
Mm-hmm.
then Tuesday is gonna be Taco Tuesday. So there's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
some kind of a Mexican themed dish. And
Mm-hmm.
typically it's like a taco rice bowl,
Mm-hmm.
which we've come to prefer rather than the tacos on the shell, but still,
Mm-hmm.
that. Or
Mm-hmm.
like last week, it was pulled pork taco soup.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I make a meatloaf on Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
then we're going to have meatloaf, left over for either Tuesday or Wednesday. And
Mm-hmm.
I love meatloaf sandwiches.
Yes, yes.
They're great.
Mm-hmm.
I keep getting a frog in my throat tonight.
Oh,
But meatloaf sandwiches are great for lunch.
they are. They are. And you're gonna laugh. Monday, that's exactly what I had was meatloaf. I had prepared the meatloaf, and all I had to do was take it out, put it into the cast iron, and put it in the oven. It was ready to go.
Yeah, and I have also done that now. I take that meatloaf and rather than plan on having it later in the week, I've cut it in
Mm-hmm.
half, put the
Mm-hmm.
other half in the freezer, and then the
Oh yeah.
next week I've got some entree that I can use, or you can do
Mm-hmm.
meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and gravy, and green beans
Mm-hmm.
on Sunday, and you
Yep.
can have that same meal on Wednesday or Thursday and be
There you
good.
go. Absolutely. And it's
Yeah,
actually better the second time around.
yes, it is. But you can simplify your meals. And like I
Mhm.
said, Cassandra at Becoming a Farm Girl has brought that up to a
She has.
science. So be sure to check her out. I
Mhm.
don't have her linked in the description box, but I'll try to remember to do that later on tonight. And if you go visit her, tell her Denise at Homemaking with Denise sent you. Now, she will not know who I am, but I wouldn't mind if she knew who I was. But at this point, she does not. But I have just learned just from watching this young woman
Mhm.
throw down. It's like, okay, I wish I'd have known that a long time ago.
Absolutely,
So there's that.
absolutely.
So when we talk about simplifying meals, though, so we talked about keeping our go-to weeknight meals that can be made in 30 minutes or less. So on Tuesdays, I can pull out some kind of a taco soup out of the freezer, or
Mhm,
I'm going to make a taco rice bowl. I'm going to get that rice going in the rice cooker, and then
mhm,
I'm going to get the taco mixture going. Some nights it might be tofu, some nights it might
mhm,
be ground beef, and sometimes it
mhm.
might be no meat at all. I'll be
There you
like,
go.
"Oh, well, no, there's no meat in this." Like, no, not tonight, dear. It's
Not
meat.
today.
But you can get that on the table pretty quick. And then batch cook, as you talked about batch cooking and the freezer
Mhm,
meals, but and then using the slow cooker on certain
mhm,
days, and
mhm.
then teach the families that simple food is still good food. We don't have to
Absolutely.
have Sunday dinner every day. That's why
No,
it's called Sunday dinner, because it's special on Sunday.
that's right, that's right.
Yeah. And then your best friend, and I know you talk about this all the time, is making sure you have a rotisserie chicken in your freezer or in the house
Oh,
somewhere.
yeah. Oh, yeah. And, there's just so many things that you can do with that rotisserie chicken, and, it just makes your meal come together so fast,
Hmm.
and it's nice to have.
Definitely, definitely nice to have. And then let's see what people are saying over here. We talked about simplifying the meals. I think I missed a few people. So Debbie's using her crock pot,
Mhm,
and then Shania likes early dinner preps.
mhm.
I think we had those.
Uh-huh. I think everyone's talking to Cal to
Okay.
give her some encouragement.
So Debbie says one pot meals are always good. She likes to dump in go meals when she had a
Mhm,
family to feed, and
mhm,
she still likes cooking that way now that she's being disabled and older. But when
mhm,
she does those large dump and go meals, she shares
mhm,
them with her daughter.
mhm.
But also, me and Miss Leona are having another collab on one pot meals coming up this Saturday. Be
Absolutely.
sure to check her out, to check us both out. And who knows, maybe by Saturday she'll be over the 5K margin.
It'll be so much fun, and I'll
Yes,
let you guys know.
yes.
The things that we have talked about really, we have discussed being able to find time for ourselves to be able to come to the end of the evening and to have that quiet moment,
Hmm.
whether it's the Calgon moment or whether it's just being able to catch your breath. We
Yes.
all need that time.
Hmm.
And so, whatever we can do in the process to help that along, that's a valuable move. And this is valuable.
Hmm. And then I think the other thing, oh well, Tutu, well, Minnie is here. Tutu loves Minnie. Rather, Tutu is here, and she's thanking us for our advice. And she says that she's getting older. She doesn't have the same energy as before, but she does have her grandson to keep
Mhm.
her cooking and eating healthy. The other
That's
thing that we need to think about too, though, is that it's okay to pause. It is okay to
Mhm.
pause. So let's give yourself permission to rest.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And in that light, that's what Blue Skies has been working on our self-care items for the month. I don't think she put one up today because I had a post up today in regards to tonight's show. But
Mhm.
she's been putting different things in to remind us that self-care is not only okay, but that it is also important, and different little tips and tricks that you can do. So if you guys have not checked out those daily posts on
Mhm.
my community tab about self-care, please do that and do some of the things that you can to care for yourself. But it's okay to give yourself permission to rest, just kind of slow it down. It's not being lazy, it's maintenance. So if you're holding everything together, You got to give yourself some rest so that you can continue
Absolutely.
to do what you need to do. And, schedule rest like you schedule an appointment.
There you go. There you go. It
Mhm.
has to be intentional.
Mhm. And then the last tip that we have is that good enough is
Mhm.
okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we want you to embrace good enough.
Hmm.
Because if you're thinking that everything has to be perfect, you'll never get done.
You're right. You're
You'll
right.
never get done.
You'll find your wheels spinning
Mm-hmm.
and you'll spin and you just won't feel good. It goes back to what we were talking about with the children. You know, you have to let them feel good about what they've done, and the same goes for you. We need to feel good at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
so good enough will do.
Yes. And Nitty T says the rotisserie chicken is everything. She picked up two last week and turned them into soup, chicken salad, and smothered chicken in gravy.
All
Girl, I
right.
need some of all of that.
Ooh, all of that sounds good. Absolutely.
And then Cynthia, hi Cynthia, this is the first comment she's made today. She said she used to sit outside in the dark and the quiet and look at the moon and stars after putting five kids to bed. It was a
Oh,
good wind down routine. Girl, yes,
oh
I hear you.
yes, yes. I love it. I love it. I
I
can
used
just
to get into the
imagine.
tub and I would get into the tub and just take a bath and just lay there just
Mhm.
like doggone, take me away. I'd come in from work, feed the kids,
Mhm.
whatever, and I would go in the bathroom and lock the door and just lay there in the water, relax.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Let that water
Absolutely.
just kind of drain everything away. So it's okay to rest, to pause.
Absolutely.
It's okay to care for yourself, and it's okay to say it. And I think
And
someone has said up there earlier that they've learned to say no. And so yeah, that's a good
that's
thing.
it.
You learn to
That's
say
it.
no. Oh, so someone, I guess, wait a minute, I missed it. Debbie
Sheet
was
cake
talking about sheet
pancakes.
pan pancakes.
Sheet pan pancakes.
I've not heard of that either, Cynthia.
Ah.
So Debbie, tell us what those are. And then Terry says she will get others in the family to help. And
Mhm.
that's also important as well. So
Absolutely.
while Debbie is going to put the note in about what sheet pan pancakes are, let's just say that the invisible load may never disappear completely,
That's true. That's
but
true.
it can get lighter.
Mhm.
It can get lighter when we see it, when we make it visible, when
Mhm.
we write it down, when we name it, and when we share it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the work you do every day does matter. And it's seen by the people that love you most of the time. Sometimes they
Mhm.
might miss a few things, and it's definitely okay to remember to take care of yourself. So you're not alone in this. All of us homemakers, moms, dads, everybody in between, we all have those times where some of the things we do for others are not seen.
Mhm.
But we
You
have, go ahead.
go ahead. I'm sorry. What came to mind was I kind of had a switch with the kids and the hubby in that I started verbalizing, so and so, thank you so much for dusting the furniture this afternoon when you came home.
Mhm.
And hubby, thanks for making sure the trash was taken out. Was it a big deal? No, it was just a little quick thank you very much. And I did it in front of everybody. And
Mhm.
sometimes I did it right at the dinner table. But what I noticed was that as time went by, they started saying, Mom, thanks so much for doing so and so and so and so. It
Ah,
started flipping the switch. And even today, they I don't even think they realize they're doing it, but they say, thanks so much for doing so and so. And thanks so much for doing. So sometimes, and at that point when I was doing that, I really was trying to make them aware of the fact that I wanted them to recognize what I was doing, and
Hmm.
yet and still I was trying to also recognize what they were doing. But in turn, they really did come back and they were able to give it back. So sometimes we have to demonstrate what it is that we're really looking for,
Hmm.
and that helps them to learn, and especially little ones pick up on it quicker than the adults and the teens, and they will start to mimic what you're saying and what you're doing. So just keep that in mind.
That's right. So absolutely. So let me just say one more time that Miss Leona is on her way to 5K. And she is almost there.
Yay.
So here she is right there. And it says she has 4.8 subscribers.
Hmm.
So that means about 200 more, and she'll be at that 5K mark. So if you've not already joined her family, be sure to do that. And then the other thing that I want to say, I better go, I better not do it that way. Otherwise, whenever I just try to skip over, I mess something up. I also want to say that this video is brought to you by my course, Yes You Can, a
Hmm.
beginner's guide to water bath canning. And it's a course that walks you through step by step how to do water bath canning.
Hmm.
And so you learn how to make those jams and jellies that you like so much, and also how to make applesauce. But you get the basic principles that would take you from there forward. So I have the links for both Miss Leona as well as for my course in the description box. So be sure to check those out.
And Yes You Can does work, and it's so easy. Today I was able to open up a jar of cranberry jam, and that I had put together using Miss Denise's Yes You Can class. And my guests were so, they were in awe because I had homemade jam right there. But it's a great course, and if you're hesitating, you want to get away from the store bought and you want to do it yourself, it's a great opportunity to be able to learn how to do it. And it's a life skill. So please take that class.
And then Terry says that trains them to be good spouses in the future. So yes,
Mhm.
you're teaching training somebody else's husband or wife. So
That's
that's.
right.
And Kathleen says organized 365 podcast on her research on what true housework is.
Hmm.
Did not. This is interesting though. So
Yeah.
it has a dictionary has a non-definition, or a noun definition that
Mhm.
work done at
Mhm.
home is, housework, but there
Mhm.
are four types, two of which are hidden work. So yeah, I
Ah,
yes, give both of our channels a thumbs up. And if
thank
you've
you,
not
Hazel.
joined both of our communities, uh, please be sure to do that. And Leona, do you have anything else you want to share before we go?
Well, I just want to say thank you to everyone for your continued support. It has certainly been a great journey, and we are a great community.
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
support that's here for each other is powerful and it's meaningful. So let's keep it up. Let's invite others. Be sure to share tonight's video with someone, because there are others who are out there who may not know that this invisible issue is there.
Yes.
So certainly share it, because you never know who really needs it.
Absolutely. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Tutu is sharing with us what she thinks a sheet pancake is, and she said she thinks it's where you make one big pan
Oh.
pancake, and then you bake it, and then you cut it into squares once it's done. and it's
Oh,
easier because it's baked in the oven, and then you can make shapes from that one big pancake. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
okay,
You probably take
okay.
some cookie cutters and cut them out, and that'd be
Hmm,
cute. That makes sense. Okay.
that does.
Oh, there's Debbie.
Uh-huh.
She says, yes, that's how you do it. And you can add fruit or chocolate chips or maple syrup to it. So you said
Oh,
you explained it above. I must have missed it, Debbie, because I
I,
kept
I
waiting for you. Uh,
okay.
I kept,
Oh, Tutu, Cynthia says she Googled it and she's right. She
okay.
said it's a real good method for a crowd. I might have to try that while I have guests.
Oh, there she is.
Uh,
Well,
oh,
she said you
okay.
can make it the night before, make it the night,
Oh,
make it at night for
for
breakfast.
breakfast. Oh, sheet pan pancakes.
Yeah, I'll have to try that. I
Me
make a
too.
one on the doggone griddle, but okay. So anyway,
Okay. Thanks, Debbie.
yes, Debbie, thank you. And Christina is agreeing that that's what it is. So thank you so much for
Mhm.
joining us. And we will see you guys next week, but be sure to check in on Saturday for our one pot meals. We'll see you
Yes.
next week. Bye.
All right. Good night.